G'day. This is Chris McEwen from the Australian thrash metal band Hidden Intent here. You might remember me from episode 243. Just wanted to plug our new album Dead End Destiny. If you love a bit of old school thrash such as Sacred Reich, Slayer, Megadeth, Mortal Sin, with some ochre Aussie humour thrown in for good measure, then I kindly invite you to have a listen to Dead End Destiny on your favourite streaming service, or if physical media is your thing, then you can grab a CD, a killer 7-colour album print tee, or a limited edition blood splatter vinyl at hiddenintentofficial.com/shop. Get a dog up here, over to you, Mr. Andy Dowling.
It's the Antisocial Podcast, episode 303. And my guest on this episode is Cody Jones. Cody is a comedian and also the co-host of the Flow State podcast. And you might be thinking, Andy, I've heard of the Flow State podcast before. Where have I heard it before? It sounds really familiar. Tell me where. Well, go back an episode. Episode 302 was with Broden Minogue, who is the other co-host of the Flow State podcast. So I'm going back to back with the boys. These guys are absolutely hilarious. I love these guys. I love their podcast. I've been on it before. So definitely go and search for it in your podcast player, wherever you're listening to this through right now. Nice and easy. Go and check that all out. And of course, I'll have links in the show notes as well, so you can go and click through nice and easy. But definitely go and follow Cody on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. He is one funny comedian. If you enjoyed the chat with Broden, you're going to love this one. Cody's just hilarious. A really silly chat. Lots of fun. So definitely go and follow Cody on the socials. Go and subscribe to the guys and Cody on YouTube. Go and check out Cody's impression videos of Jordan Peterson and the likes. Just so funny. Really, really funny stuff. And definitely go and check out BONK City Detectives as well. We spoke about that in the last episode with Broden. Their little TV series that they're creating on YouTube. Episode 1's out right now. Really, really good stuff. So I'll put a link in the show notes again for that, but everything will be in the show notes. Show notes. AndySocial.net and AndyDowling.net. So enough crapping on from me. Please enjoy this great chat with Cody Jones. A bit of housekeeping, just to tidy a few things up before we really dig into it. But have you had a good bonk this morning?
Literally, when I said that I had to, I lied. I said I had to. I'll give you a thumbs up once I get on I had everything plugged in, like from 9 o'clock, and I made a coffee, and I lied to you and said I'll give you a thumbs up when I'm ready to go. That's because I was on the toilet.
Well, mate,
I was like, so my housekeeping is done.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've got a confession as well. So when I said tech bullshit, I was actually on the toilet doing a bonk as well.
Yes. I had a sneaking suspicion that was the case.
Well,
fantastic.
Well,
work.
people will be listening in would have by now already heard the conversation I had with Broden, and Broden explained that you've got a little bit of a unique definition for the word bonk. Like, it appears like the rest of the population understands that bonk is like, having sex, whereas you and your family have redefined the word, and it basically means taking a crap.
Yeah, well, that's 100%. My brother used to, like, when he was very young, he used to. I think he must have got the wires crossed somewhere along the line. But he was just always calling. He's like, I need to do a bonk and stuff like that. Like, he'd be at McDonald's and he'd be shouting that out as loud as he could across the restaurant and stuff. So then I've picked it up, and I laid it to rest for a few years, but I've brought it back now because I think it's just too good to let go. Some words you just need to bring back and keep them alive.
Do you have any other words that you have from your childhood which are like really like childlike terms? Like, I remember when I was a kid, like farting was a fluff, and then also talking about your dick, you'd say your doodle and things like that. Are there any other words that sort of you've held on to or you brought back?
None that spring to mind, but I used to hate, for some reason, when I was a kid, I didn't like saying the word fart. I was all embarrassed by it. Like, I wouldn't even I'd hate when people would talk about farts and stuff like that. And my number one hatred, word that I still hate, when people used to say boner. I don't know why, but it used to freak me out. I used to get all sort of stressed when I was a kid when people would start talking about farts and boners. So that's to give you a bit of an insight about how weird I am.
This complex that you got.
Yeah, it used to be so awkward. I don't know. I think I feel like it was a thing that I was so stressed because I didn't want people to know that I do farts and stuff like that. Like I was just like always concerned about that, and I didn't want people to know that I get boners as well. I had this like embarrassed, like I was just embarrassed. You know what I mean? And like, and to this day, like I have to wait for my girlfriend went and walked the dogs, and every time she does that, it's like, it's time to go. I've got a 10-minute window here to get everything done. If you know what I mean? Because I can't have her in the house. I genuinely I don't use public toilets.
Oh, really?
Unless I need to take a piss, and that's it. Because it's just this rule I've developed. It's like it just doesn't make sense to me why I could just do it at home in the comfort, in the serenity of my own home.
Well, hang on, two things really quickly because I'm gonna lose this one. But first of all, when your girlfriend goes out to walk the dog, does she know that this is your window and that you're going to go and just tidy things up?
I'd like to imagine that she has no idea that that's happening, but she 100% knows what's happening. She walks in, it's just like I'm burning incense and stuff like that. You know, everything's clean.
And then when you're out and about, because obviously, and I totally get the public toilet thing. I know a lot of people that have got this real sort of just dislike. Well, not even a dislike. It's just an absolute refusal to use public toilets, and I totally get it. But no doubt you found yourself in situations over the years where you've literally got no choice. You're either going to shit yourself or you're going to have to use a public toilet. And is that sort of just anxiety-filled sort of situations that you find yourself in when you have to you've got no other choice?
Mate, like I can tell you, I've been absolutely riddled with anxiety in public locations before, like airports and stuff like that, when I've had problems, and I've had like some Guinness and it's all turned a bit bad. And like I can tell you, like, well, what my number one rule has always been, and it should be everyone's number one rule, and the number one rule is never shit your pants, no matter what, because there's no coming back from that. So it's a bit of a paradox when I've got like those two rules. So the first rule being like never shit yourself, but then also never use a public toilet. So where do you go from there? You know what I mean? You've got to compromise one of the rules. Yeah, you've got to compromise one of the rules. So like I've been in Vietnam and stuff like that, and I've had to, I've bit the bullet and done it, and I try and erase it from the memory.
So is it more of a case that you're in public and there's every likelihood that someone could see through the cracks of the stall, or they might walk into your stall and be caught? Or is it the filth and the disgustingness of what a public toilet usually is?
Little from column A and a little from column B there. It's the footsteps and doors slamming and hand dryers going off and stuff like that. It's like, when you're at the movies and you're trying to, sit back and enjoy a film, and someone's just painfully trying to open up a packet of Maltesers during the most, like, on the screen they're talking about, like, it's a real emotional scene or something like that, where someone's going, I'm afraid I've been diagnosed with cancer. And someone's ruining that scene by crinkling Maltesers. Like, open the Maltesers up before you get in, and pour them into your hand like a gentleman. So it's sort of like on there. I want it to be an emotional, quiet, peaceful journey, and it's being ruined by traffic. Like if you can go to a public toilet and enjoy the experience at an airport, you're a psychopath. There's no doubt about that. I've got friends who can do it. And they say they enjoy the experience. Broden, like my mate Broden, co-host from my podcast, he enjoys it. And in my mind, I'm just like, yeah, you're psychopathic. It's not cool. I don't get it.
I've got mates of mine who they'll go to the toilet. So I won't go into any description because people will be able to work out who these people are. But we'll be traveling and there'll be certain people who'll go to the toilet and they'll be gone for like 25, 30 minutes and they're just sitting there and you go, why have you been in there for so long? It's like, it just takes time. And I'm like, no, mate, like, push it out. get it done. Like, move on. Like,
Yeah.
get out of there ASAP. Like, this is not a relaxing, tranquil setting. This is fucking public
It's
filth.
stressful. It's stressful. It's get in, get out. It's the same as going grocery shopping, man. It's like I've made a rule with my fiance. I said, we do the shop separate. We don't go together because she takes so long to do grocery shops and stuff like that. It's like, get out.
Is
like,
she an every aisle person? Like
she's every aisle and
yeah.
she's looking at the back of things. You know what I mean? Like when people pick things up and turn them around and read them, like shampoo bottles and stuff. It's like, stop reading the ingredients to everything. It's like you should be. I'm weird at Aldi. I do my shop at Aldi every week, and I park my trolley at the front of the store, and I leave it there, and I go and I collect all my things in my hands, and I run back to the trolley and dump them in there. It's like, do you ever see those shows?
So it's
like
just this
on
random
Road,
trolley at the front.
Yeah, and people don't touch it.
Yeah.
I've come to find. Yeah, and I like my dad thinks I'm the weird because he come with me once, and he thinks I'm absolutely mental. But because I park it up near like the booze area, so it's almost in line, and I just run around frantically, just flicking things off the shelf into my arms and putting them in the trolley because it's a get out mission. It's the same as like the toilets. Like, why you're spending minutes of your life that you'll never get back in there in a public toilet? Get out of it. There's things to do. There's podcasts to do, Andy. There's so much to do.
You sound like a man of efficiency. Like you really pride yourself in trying to find the most efficient way to be able to do things. I like it because I'm thinking like I'm really lucky. Like I'm walking distance from like my local Coles, and so I'll walk down there, and I usually am just carrying stuff, and I'll get a basket or something like that. And my rule is that I can only take home what I can carry. Like there's no trolleys, there's nothing like that. So I'll get a basket, and that's really pushing it. And even then I'm thinking I'm carrying too much stuff. But I love the idea. Maybe I could do the equivalent where I just dump the basket near like the checkouts and then just keep running around and just dumping things in. But it might be like one of those when you like you probably watch like aggro and stuff like that when you're a kid, and they'd have those competitions where, you know, the kid would win like the 60 seconds to run around the store and collect as many toys as possible. I feel like that's the kind of vibe that you're going for with with running.
Exactly. I got it off aggro and Rove. The Rove Live used to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's a mission. It's like I say to my girlfriend when she goes, let's just be channel a bald eagle, like swooping in, getting your food and getting out. You know what I mean? Just get out of there. Because they want you out. Aldi, the way they treat you, they want you out as well. It's in the rate that they're it's like, I didn't want Brett Lee serving me at the cash register, you know what I mean? It's like, why are you flicking frozen meat at me as fast as you can? It's like a weapon.
That is the only reason why I don't shop at Aldi, because when I would go there,
the pressure.
Like I'd be stressed. I'd be absolutely stressed. And you put it on the belt, and you're in queue, so there's people in front of you, and you're not paying attention. You're not watching what the checkout chick's doing behind the counter, and you're on your phone, or you're looking around, or you're eyeing off the booze section or whatever. And then suddenly it gets to you, and she's just looking at you, and you look at her, and then there's this it's the tiniest little like piece of shelving on the other side of her. You got this long conveyor belt with all your stuff on there. And then on the other end, this tiny, it's like 30 centimeters in, like, you know, squared. And suddenly, like, you know, 5 meters of groceries needs to all go on there, or you need to find a place to put them. And and I'm never prepared. And so she doesn't give a shit. She's not slowing down. Like she must have some KPI in the background where she's got to like scan like 500,000 fucking items each day. And so she's been bam, 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 bam. And there's just no empathy whatsoever. There's just nothing. And you're like sweating. You're on the verge of tears. And that's the only reason I don't shop at Aldi. It just seems too hard. It's complicated.
It is, man. And it is stressful. I get a bit staunch, perhaps on the verge of rude. I don't like to be rude, but I'm like, I want to like make a point that it's like, no matter how fast you throw these groceries at me, I'm going to bag them like a gentleman. I'm not going to rush. I'm going to put my groceries away like a gentleman. All right. I'm not going over to that little bench that they expect you to go to.
Fucking bench.
What's that? You're here. What are you doing? You're just pushing things past a laser beam. That's all you're doing, and you're sitting down as well.
It's like people at Macca's.
Can't you put things in the bag?
It's like people at Macca's who you get your food and then you walk over to that little kiosk thing where you got the serviettes and the straws and everything. It's like, why is that there? Just chuck it in the bag or chuck it on the tray. Like, why do I have to go over there and then go and get extra stuff? It's just it's a waste of my time, and especially if you're new to it, like. Where am I meant to stand? Like, or is this the right thing to do? And you're seeing other people. Everyone's got their own style. You've got like the absolute like just crazy people that they've brought cardboard boxes and they're putting all their stuff in cardboard boxes. Then you got the people who bring they're like fraying Enviro bags that are just barely like keeping themselves together. They've got holes in them and they're dumping them in there. Then you got the people who got their like disgusting looking plastic bags that they've saved. And then you got other people who just try and neatly sort of symmetrically put things into their trolley, and you just sit there and go, well, what do I do? Like, what's my choice? Like, what's the right thing?
What's the game plan?
Yeah, I've got no idea. And you're still feeling the pressure from the conveyor belt or the checkout chick, so you think that pressure is still on you to be doing it at that little shelf over against the window, and it's just not necessary.
Well, it's the expectation too. You can tell that they're like, I don't want you to bag your groceries here. There's a bench for that. Go over there and do it at the bench. But it's like, I want to make a point here that no, you can't force me to go over to that bench. I'm never going there in my life. So I've made like a bit of a stance. I feel like Che Guevara, like, but for Aldi, I'm just like standing up to oppression for all the people of Aldi. I'm like making a stand. But I'm one of the people who I'll buy bags for 15 cents every time I go. I'm an idiot because I've got a pantry shelf full of Aldi bags, and I mean it's every time you open the pantry doors that they fall out. So it's like I should be reusing these. That was the point of the no plastic bags, wasn't it?
But are you going to carry them around? Are you going to leave the house and go, oh, better bring some bags with me and just like, I don't know, shove them in my pocket or hold them in my hand as I'm leaving the house to go to Aldi? Like,
well, that's the problem.
I don't do that. I'll just go and pay another 15 cents for another bag, and I do exactly the same. I've got piles of them at home.
I got piles of them at home, and I'm not carrying bags around. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. I'm not carrying me bags around. I'm not putting them in the backseat of my car because I'll forget them even if they're there. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden I'll just have bags in my car that will never leave. Like I've got coffee cups in there from yesteryear. I don't clean my car enough as it is. There's just so much shit in my car. It's phenomenal. So I'm not adding to that dilemma. I just want to buy 15 cents isn't much, is it?
Well, I mean,
it's not going to.
It's not. And people go, oh, well, over a lifetime, it's like, yeah, it's probably like, $5 or maybe. I mean, that's me, working out mathematics really quickly, but it's not. Divide 15 cents into $5. That's not many bags, but it's not. I don't think you're going to end up in the gutter if you continue to spend 15 cents a bag for the rest of your life. I'm pretty sure most people will be okay.
I think so. I think if you wanted to get 100 bags, it's going to cost you like $10.50.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you worked that out.
It hurt my brain to do that, but we're sort of looking off into the distance. Yeah.
But it's like
I don't know. How did I retrieve that?
Well done.
Yeah.
It's like,
thanks, man.
It's those penny pinchers, It's the people who go, oh, like you said, the coffee cups as well. Like, people reuse or they got their sustainable coffee cups and things like that. And I appreciate it to an extent. I respect it to an extent, but I can't see myself doing it. And I guess there's a whole environmental aspect, which I'll just pretend that doesn't exist for the time being, and I'll just focus on the dollars saved. Like, honestly, that's
the most important.
I'm not going to be living in a mansion or not living in a mansion, for making these small sacrifices or choosing to go, oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to buy 2 coffees a day. I'm going to buy 1 coffee a day or whatever it is, all those little things that people do to try and save a couple of bucks. It's not going to make a difference. I don't think it's going to make a difference. I mean, go and get a job or get a better job. I don't know. Like, it's me speaking from a privileged position, but fucking whatever. Like, go and find a way to make some money. Stop trying to save money. Just go and make more.
get some more so you can enjoy
Just
your
go and
life.
find it. Just go and find it, you know?
Yeah, you go and find it. There's money, there's jobs everywhere and money sort of everywhere, isn't there, really, when you think about it?
Yeah. I mean, there's Patreon. Jeez, you know, you make heaps of money on Patreon.
There is. There is. There is. Good plug. Jeez, that was good.
Yeah.
You're a pro.
Yeah, that's all right.
That was really good.
I'll chuck a link in the show notes for everyone to go and support the Flow State podcast on Patreon. So get behind that and support the guys. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was good. You delivered it real well too.
I'll take a quite a slight turn in another direction, but I mentioned before I'm on the verge of writing myself off today and going on a pub crawl, and I'm really excited about it, Ed. But I've just come off the back of a couple of weeks off the booze, and I feel all right, but I'm definitely chomping at the bit to go and have a cold one. But I think was it in May or April, May or something like that you had a few weeks off?
Yeah, I had a crack at. I set myself and I wanted to go for 50, but I ended up buckling at 30 days, and I just felt like I needed, like my body was saying, do this right now, get off the beers. It was telling me, and I listened to it. And I'm someone who listens to my body, so I listened to it then, and then one day it said, get back on the beers, and I just listened to it again. So you always listen to your body. But I mean, I felt good, man, like refreshed, and I feel like if everything's got to be in moderation, because if you don't have everything in balance is so important, because if you have too much of one thing like alcohol, then you start getting, I feel like your motivation is the thing that's most affected by it. And that's like getting up and doing podcasts and for us and making more videos for our web series. And I don't want to I can go into things like jiu-jitsu and all these things that I need in my life to maintain that balance. They sort of slip away because I'm overdoing it on the alcohol. So everything falls away. Have you ever noticed that? Or I'd imagine you probably have things in pretty good balance.
No.
Or maybe not, because you go on tour and
everything gets thrown out of whack.
That could get pretty. Get pretty out of whack.
Yeah, I mean, I always, this is me like trying to convince myself that I'm not an alcoholic to my wife. I'm like, I don't drink a lot. I just drink often, you know. So it's like, I don't drink. I don't drink volume wise. I mean, I guess if you add it up over time, but I'm like, I'll have a few beers here and there, every couple of days or whatever. But I'm very rarely like get absolutely blotto or anything like that. I'm very rarely sort of like mega drunk. It's just one of those things where you have like a few beers and you get the buzz and you enjoy it, but then it just becomes a more regular thing, and it becomes part of your routine. And then you find that like you said before, like the next day or over a period of days, you just get a bit hazy, you're a bit dusty, you're not focused. Things that you're meant to have front of mind are just not there. They've just been tucked away somewhere else, and then eventually go, oh, fuck, I was meant to do that. And even just the drive to want to do something, because I think it's almost like there's, I mean, what do they say? Alcohol's a depressant or something like that. There's almost like this voice that amplifies going, why fucking bother, mate? Like, who cares? Like, it's not even worth it. Like, what are you going to get out of it? Like, what? Go for a walk? Ah, fucking who cares? You'd have to walk like for 6 months to even just lose a couple of kilos. Like, who gives a shit? Like, sit at home, go and watch something on YouTube, or go and have a beer. At least you're going to enjoy it. Life's too short. All these things going over and over again in your head, and it's tough. And it's only when you stop drinking for even just a few days that you go, oh, I'm a little bit more optimistic. I'm a little bit more glass half full. Amazing. Like, what can I do with my life now?
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true, because, and then you get that mental clarity as well after about a week of not drinking, and it becomes addictive not drinking for a little bit as well, because it's like, if you sort of get your Sundays back, so to speak, and it feels really good to be operating at full health on a Sunday. You're up at 7 and the kettle's boiling, you're making a coffee, you're looking out the window and you're like, man, I've got the whole day to do whatever I want here. This is huge. And then that's where your motivation comes for doing good things. Like, I might write some comedy, or I might see who I can line up for the next podcast, or stuff like that. You actually want to do that now because you're up early, instead of having 4 or 5 beers the night before and waking up at 9, sort of a bit dusty, and you lay in bed for half an hour, you're up, you're going. And then everything like that is momentum. I've always found that it's momentum. Like if you can get into this, if you can get your on the rails, so to speak, and just keep that momentum going, you'll get more and more shit done. It's only when you stop that momentum, you've got to start it again. And that goes for everything, like training, if you're getting fit, or dieting, or getting off the booze, or just actually trying to make things better, like write comedy, or really put some effort into the podcast or your YouTube channel and stuff like that. You can really generate some momentum if you don't have these outside things like alcohol coming in and just taking the wind out of your sails every couple of days. So I think it is important to find your balance. I feel like you can still have the momentum if you just don't overdo it. What do you think?
Well, yeah, fuck, I don't know. I mean, I'm always trying to find a reason to have a beer, so it's always it's like, all right, man, yeah, okay, well, I can get away with that. Yeah, no, it is all about balance, you know, and I think, I don't know. Massively. I mean, I've said this in the past to mates. Like, I wouldn't be where I am now, and this sounds horrible. I remember saying this to my wife, and my wife just went, "Oh, I don't know if you should say that publicly to people." But I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for beer. Like, you know, right back to when, you know, I'd sneak into gigs underage and you know, be talking to people and having the courage to go up to somebody and have a chat, and you'd have a bit of alcohol just to sort of, you know, calm the nerves a bit, you know, building relationships, especially in music as well. You know, drinking was and has been such a sort of complementary aspect of music and going to shows and in building relationships with people. And then I think just, you know, a bit of that Australian culture as well, the beer garden, going to the pub, having chats with people, and just everything that I've done has kind of stemmed off these social settings where there's been, you know, a beer involved and something very casual, and not always a blotto situation, but there certainly has been a few over the years. So for me, it's like, I don't necessarily want to get rid of it. Like, I know a lot of people that have just made the decision just to stop drinking altogether, and I mean, respect to them. But for me, like, it's just, I don't know, it's such an ingrained part of my lifestyle, and I love it. But it is a really sort of thin ledge to tiptoe along, because it can go in any direction really, really quickly. Yeah, I think we're probably on the same page there when it comes to, like, it's ingrained. And me too, like in the comedy world, like there's been shows where I've absolutely needed to have 2 or 3 beers before doing the show, because it's just to calm things down a little bit. And again, it's like, it's the same. It's a complementary thing with comedy gigs too, especially when we go out to country towns and do gigs at pubs there, because, I mean, what else do you get? We go out to remote towns and do gigs at the pub there. So it's like, what are we not going to have a beer? It's not happening. We're going to have to, you know, we're having a beer. Yeah. And also I'm working for a mate from time to time who he runs a craft beer shop. So it's it's all over.
It's all over. It's impossible. Like, the fact that I was working at that store and managed to not drink for 30 days is like,
that's incredible. You need a medal.
That's my Mount Everest, you know? Yeah. How did I do it? I don't know. I'm baffled by how I did it. I look back at it now and I'm like, geez, I'm fucking good.
You need to write a book just on that alone. I mean, that's a tale of inspiration right there. I think if you can do that, anybody can do anything in life. I reckon it's tough.
Absolutely, man. It was huge. It was like Wim Hof. I was like Wim Hof for 30 days. I can breathing.
I can imagine you, like, in the cool room, just like, you know, cross-legged in the corner, just like doing these deep breathing. Shirt off. Yeah. Surrounded by, like, you know, cans of, like, craft beer just, like, nestled around you. And it's like, deep breathing.
Yeah, exactly. Like Luke Skywalker in there just meditating. Yeah. It was a remarkable feat of control, self-control.
Well,
we did it, and I felt better for it.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think obviously, you know, understanding why you're doing it is probably half the battle. If you've got a reason to do it, not just going, oh, well, I think people kind of expect you to not drink that much or whatever it might be, and you just want to sort of show other people that you're reasonably responsible, then I think you tend to fail pretty quickly. But if you've got a purpose behind it, you go, I actually want to do this because I want a bit more clarity of mind, I want to feel better physically, mentally, whatever it might be, then you got half a chance then.
Yeah, because you've got that real meaning, the force driving you forward. So yeah, that's pretty important. And like the COVID situation here in Victoria is just like there was alcohol consumption last year statewide would have just gone through the roof. I have no doubt of that, especially during those intense lockdowns. And like we were doing the same thing here at my house. We were just, Jesus, like we can't go to the pub or we can't go anywhere. Let's just drink and video call each other and drink and like, and so that doing that for a few months last year, really, it's some habits formed. And I was like, I've got to get this under control. Otherwise it'll be 3 years from now and I'll still be doing it. So I sort of needed just to prove to myself that, no, you don't have to do this all the time. And you don't. You can get a bit of control and, make sure that you know that you can get control. You can prove it to yourself.
I went through like this childlike sort of scenario at the beginning of the COVID thing when we all sort of went into lockdown, forced to work from home where people could. And it almost felt like I was a kid again and I was being allowed to just do whatever the fuck I want in the respect that I don't have to leave the house. I mean, yes, I've got responsibilities, but things such as drinking and anything excessive, like I can just do it because I'm allowed to. Like I've been forced to have to deal with this lockdown. So I've got a reason now to indulge. And like a lot of other people, I was like, and the novelty of going, well, yeah, maybe I can go to the bottle shop if I'm allowed out, or I could just get stuff delivered. Oh, that's fun. Like, let's just keep ordering stuff online. Oh, more beer rocked up. Oh, cool. Let's drink that. And then eventually get to that point where you realize, oh, that's right. I'm a fucking responsible adult. Like, I'm not a kid. Like, I've got responsibility of myself and my own actions. Like, I can't keep doing this. And and then you go, okay, maybe I need to just ease back a little bit and start to make some better decisions. But I think a lot of people went through different degrees of that last year, like just trying to, like almost everyone got a license to be able to just let loose for a while. And then after a while, some people continue to do that even now. But I think a lot of people after a while just went, oh, shit, getting close to burning myself out more ways than one, and I need to make some choices.
You need to reel it in. Yeah, for sure. And there was that aspect of it. It's like, oh, well, there's nothing to do. All we can do is get stuff delivered, and why not? Why not do all this stuff? Because we're going through a pandemic. You know, we need to make ourselves feel better to take our mind off the pandemic. And there was all that. There was levels of that, I think, nationwide or worldwide. But, get it under control, because I feel like they get out of control without you knowing, and you don't know until it's real late in the game and you're like, oh, that got out of control and I didn't even know. And now it's harder to reel back in.
Yeah.
So it's, managing stuff. That's really important when it comes to motivation and getting the important shit done.
I feel like there's triggers for me, like, you know, just not realizing it until it creeps up in you is when I start to like find myself just being lazy and just making compromises all the time, or starting to blame everything, like blame everybody else and everything around me, like, you know, that's because of such and such, blah, blah, blah. And then after a while, when I'm doing that more frequently, I realize that, okay, something's not right here. Like my head's not in the right spot here. And then I'll go, you know, oh, why is it? Is it because, you know, of some external thing? I'm like, oh no, hang on. I'm not actually taking care of my body. Like, you know, I'm not doing the right things. I'm not cleaning my backyard first, you know, before blaming everything else. And then that's when you have that little bit of a wake up and hopefully make some better decisions.
Yeah, massively. That's so true, so important. It's like I feel like a lot of people fall into the trap of like they're feeling shitty and they haven't eliminated all the things that could possibly be making them shitty, because there's so much. Things down to like you've had a bad week of food, you've eaten bad food, and your gut health isn't as good as it could be. It's all linked. And then you're walking around feeling shitty. It's like, oh, why do I feel so bad? It's like all these things, you need to balance everything out to get right, I think, and put some time into it. Like put some thought and effort and plan some stuff out to get your mind right and get some momentum going on that front as well.
I think that momentum thing is really important. I mean, for me, my mornings are like, you know, so important for me because it's just how I dictate my day. Like if I, like, you know, especially if I'm having a lazy day and I wake up late, then I'm just going to be sluggish all day because I'm not taking the day seriously. And so for me, like, I'm always up like super, super early, and I've got, you know, when I'm doing the right thing, I've got some kind of routine in place because I just need to get the head in the right spot for the day. Like, and then suddenly, as you said before, like you might start to do a couple of things and then the cogs are turning, and so you go, okay, what else can I do? Or, okay, now I've taken that first step and I don't know, open up a Word document on your laptop or whatever to start typing some stuff out, or you start, you know, thinking about people for the podcast or whatever, and then it just links into the next thing. Before you know it, you've had a really productive day and your head's in a good spot and you're not like stressing about shit that's actually in your control.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you can string more and more days together like that, then all of a sudden you've had a really productive week. And imagine if you could do, and it's really hard, but imagine if you could do it for a whole year, how unbelievably productive your year could be if you're really focused. But it's a real challenge. But there's no better challenge, I think, and something that I'm really trying to hone in on now is just that scheduling and really winning the day, like you said, like getting up and getting those first few things done, and keep that roll on going as long as you can go, because you can be incredibly productive if you just focus on it. But then if you have like a big weekend, the wheels fall off again. So it's hard.
I'll remember that. I'll remember that tomorrow when I surface after I don't know 12 pints of piss today, and I'll be like, yeah, right.
So what? Like you got some good craft breweries around in Marrickville and Sydney, and like Filter, and there's some real good ones up there. I want to actually go to Sydney and do.
Oh, mate, hit me up. I'll
be a taster.
I'll be your tour guide.
That'd be incredible, man.
Whatever I can do to encourage my drinking, absolutely. But
give you enable you.
Yeah, do it. Do it, absolutely. Yeah, man. It's been really good, and for me, like, I was living down the coast for a few years. Like, I've been living in Sydney for like, I don't know, 15 odd years, but lived down the coast for a few years before coming back up. And Jess and I moved back to Sydney like towards the end of 2019, and just getting ready for this lifestyle. You know, yes, we're back in the city, can go and do all these things again. And then obviously all the COVID stuff started to seep in and stop it all. And so now it's starting to get to a point where, and I know you guys have been going through some shit lately, but we're sort of in this place now where it's starting to get back to normal. And so for me, I haven't done a lot of these breweries in Marrickville, for instance, at all. There's a couple of places. I've been to Filter, and I think I've been to Stockade and maybe Batch as well, but there's heaps. There's so many, and super keen to blur my way through them this afternoon.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's going to be it's always a good time. Breweries are a good time. It's like the new age pub, you know, there's merch there, and there's always good food, and I like the atmosphere of a good brewery. I
mean, it's definitely inclusive spaces, but it is also like a big boys playground. It is like the adult male playground. It's like it. You know, it was always the pub. You know, the stereotypical bloke would go down the pub and see his mates down there and have a few beers. But now it's like, I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you probably know this, but Moondog. I'm pretty sure they've got like a theme park in Melbourne where they've set up this thing in this giant warehouse where there's slides and all this sort of playground equipment and everything, but it's for adults, and it's just the most ridiculous, absurd thing. But it sounds amazing.
Yeah, like Moondog World, it's called, and it's exactly that. It's got slides, and like you can have a pint and then go down the slide, and people are doing it, man. Adults are doing it, and no one's really questioning it. It's just happening.
There must be
just
some
happening.
There must be some serious waiver stuff that you got to sign before you walk in that door. Hey, like it's like whatever happens here, this is on you.
If you break your neck, it's not our fault.
It is not our fault. You are agreeing to get pissed and do dumb shit in here. This is not on us, guys. We're not enabling you.
Yeah.
You're signing off on this. There have to be something like that.
Like, I just imagine the spew inside the playground on every Saturday night that the work experience kid has to clean up. He has to go in there with a pressure washer.
Oh, you want to work in the craft beer
way.
industry? Come here.
Yeah. I got a job at Moondog World. Yeah, you did. You did.
You legend. Must be a dream job. Yep, definitely.
Yep. Like I have to. I haven't gone to Moondog World yet, but I want to go.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it looks so fun.
You need You need like a man diaper or something like that when you go in, just for when you, especially for someone like you. Hey, like you want to be in there for a while, and if you have a couple of dark drinks, your bowels might get a bit funny. And I'm sure they've got some nice food there as well. So, it's a bit of a mix going. So, just to alleviate the anxiety of having to use their restrooms at Moondog World, then maybe if you had an adult diaper, then...
but I think then we're treading into breaking the number one rule there, Andy, and we can't have that.
Shit
so,
yourself. But,
as much as I'd love to wear a nappy in my day-to-day life, as much as I'd love it, I can't sign off on shitting in it.
Well, I don't know what the technology is like these days in the adult diaper industry. I mean, I would assume that it'd be state of the art, like amazing absorption and fragrant sort of stuff in there. So who knows? I mean, maybe there's some products out there that could address some of those concerns that we would typically have when we shit ourselves. So I don't know.
Potentially.
Yeah, I don't know.
Potentially.
Maybe some research.
Maybe we could a colostomy bag might be an option because you're sidestepping breaking the number one rule there a little bit.
There is a loophole.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Oh, man.
All right. Well, okay. So I'll write that one down for later. I might have to do a bit of work on that one. I'll next time I talk to you from Moondog,
let's find. Yeah. They could have like you get in the merch shelf. They could have like Moondog nappies.
It's like when you go to like Hurricanes or like one of those big rib places or the chicken wing places and you get a bib, or a seafood place or whatever with the lobster. You get a bib when you walk in the door, you sit down. Well, Moondog World, you get a big adult diaper. It's like totally optional. It's optional if you want, but it's here if you need it. I'm sure there'd be a few people who'd throw it on.
There would be a few people, I think, that would utilize it to its full potential as well. I think they would just get the most out of that nappy, and they'd have to have a bin. They'd have to have like a bin out the front, just full of nappies.
but a lot of these places, like these craft beer places, I mean, they're pretty enviro friendly. They're very sort of progressive, companies. Most of these places, so you could make them disposable as well. And so they could actually be put into like a garden bed or something like that, where you could actually grow, I don't know, your hops and things like that. Like you could, and so
like ultimate recycling, organic.
That's right. Then you got
organic nappies.
Yeah. Well, I think we're onto something here. I think we might be. I don't know. Let's not give it to Moondog World. We'll give it to. We'll make our own world. Our own. I don't know what we'll call it. We'll workshop.
Yeah. It's just beer, meat. And no toilets, just nappies.
Yeah. Actually,
and they're organic nappies.
Remove the toilets. Remove the toilets completely because they're not as environmentally friendly as a disposable adult diaper, a biodegradable adult diaper. So as soon as you come in, it's just like you use this or you're out. Like that's it. There's no. You can't. There's no option here.
Yeah, it's like we got bouncers that will remove you if you refuse to wear the nappy and help the environment. All right. What are you? Are you a climate change denier? Wear the nappy.
I think this venture, there's probably only one place where this venture could really take off and be successful. And I reckon Nimbin or like Byron Bay, sort of, the Northern Rivers sort of area. I think somewhere up there, far sort of New South Wales North Coast, I reckon somewhere up there would be like the prime place for like that particular demographic. I think would really appeal to this concept that we're workshopping at the moment.
Nimbin, I reckon we launch in Nimbin and then branch out to to Byron and that sort of area. Because the people of Nimbin will be really, really, really keen on the idea, I think. I really do think that.
And I think when you walk in, like we'll put it in like a warehouse like Moondog World has, and I think when you come in, there'll be those little what do you call them? Like they're like those little transmitters that you have to pick up like telephone reception and Wi-Fi and things like that, but we'll reduce them down to 3G. Not to 5G or anything like that, down to 3G. And that's all that you get access to. So it'll make the local population feel more comfortable and they're not being threatened by any sort of 5G rays that are flying around the place. So we'll do that. And we'll also, like where we're seeing now is like, going into places. You've seen this in the States where you walk into like, an arena or whatever to go and see a sporting match or a concert, and you've got to prove that you've been vaccinated, and that's happening in the US now. In Nimbin, in this new world that we're creating, you actually have to prove that you're not vaccinated, and you have to have an anti-vax sort of card, and then you're allowed in. And so you get your adult diaper.
I think we need to have a very strict anti-lizard policy there as well. Like if you're a reptilian entity, you cannot enter the premises, okay? If you are a reptilian entity that's a shapeshifter, sorry, you have to go to the pub next door.
I'm just imagining when you rock up and just at the entrance there's like, the disclaimers and certain things. Like usually when you go to a pub, like they'll say like, closed shoes after 5 p.m, no thongs or something like that, or no shorts, depending on the establishment. And for our place there'd be all these signs like no reptilians, no 5G, sort of no vaccinated people allowed, whatever it might be. And they'll just be this massive sign. And then do we need some idols? Do we need some people to sort of be, I guess, some companies have like a mascot or something like that. Do we need like an idol or some sort?
Yeah, I reckon someone like Alex Jones would fit the, or maybe perhaps David Icke.
I reckon David Icke. Yeah, your mate. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I reckon he would actually be really good. He could be on the ads for it and stuff.
Actually, that'd be a great marketing campaign.
Yeah, we strictly don't allow reptilian entities into the premises. It'd be good. Yeah, I'd love that.
And I'm sure there'd be something he could tie in with the adult diaper as well, like as far as not conforming to mass globalism of lavatories or something like that. It's like
I'm not acquiescing to using your toilet. I'm not acquiescing. Don't acquiesce to using toilets. That's what they want you to do. That's what the cabal want you to use toilets. I've been wearing nappies for 30 years. There's probably a bit of truth to this somewhere.
I reckon we might be onto something here. David Icke might be a good segue. So it was we mentioned it briefly in the chat with Broden about David Icke. It was, from your point of view, was David Icke everything you expected to be when he came on your podcast?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, he was a very nice person to talk to when we were allowed to talk to him, when we could get a word in.
Oh, right.
He's a nice guy, and he's got some very solid views that are nice about peace and harmony, and we are all one. But then his next sentence would be the moon's fake and it's a spaceship and stuff like that. So it's like, and he saw someone turn into the Prime Minister of England turn into a lizard one day. And so, yeah, he was everything I thought, but nicer than I thought as well, like a kinder man.
Does it leave you conflicted?
I'm really interested. A little bit, because I like him. And I sort of got this admiration for him sticking his neck out and copping abuse for 30 years. And now he's sort of like a celebrity in that world. And I don't know, I've got this weird admiration. I can't believe everything he says, obviously, but I don't know. I'm torn. I don't want to just write him off because I feel like he's entertainment, and he's strong, and he's well spoken and stuff. I've got a lot of I'm conflicted, but it was interesting to talk to a man with such strong and strange views. You know what I mean? Like, it was just really intriguing to hear. But he's massively against COVID-19. Said it didn't exist and stuff like that. And we interviewed him right in the sort of like, I think Melbourne was going through this stage where they had like 700 active cases or 270 or something. I don't know. It was a lot. He was like, no, it does not exist. And so we were a bit concerned about like interviewing him and having him say that. But I was sort of trying to play devil's advocate and because I mean, there's headlines. There could be some headlines if he says the wrong thing, if you know what I mean. So I was trying to get him to say as much as he could, and he really went to town. He went to town on Dan Andrews and stuff like that, and it was pretty entertaining. We did hammer home the point that like whatever David says on this, we do not necessarily agree with. We're just talking to a man. That's it. We're just hearing
lots of disclaimers, just as many disclaimers as possible.
Yeah, just in case. It's it's good. Like it's just good fun to talk to people like that, and I find it entertaining, as from a comedian's point of view. It's just like there's so much here. There's so much gold.
He reminds me of one of those mates that I think a lot of people have when you're at the pub and just day-to-day life, get along with these people. They're amazing, really good people, and you built really good friendships with them. And then you go to the pub and you have a few drinks, and it's fantastic. Like, great charisma. Everyone's like, personable. The banter's fantastic. And then you just sort of get past that mark where people start to get a bit sloppy, and then they start to dig deep, and then that's when the conspiracy theories come out, and all this sort of maybe some hot topics in sort of the social politics and things like that, and you start to go, whoa, okay, the mood has changed. It is changed completely. But otherwise, fantastic bloke, great guy.
Yeah, exactly. Great guy. Has his fifth pint and then goes, I saw a Yeti yesterday. You know what I mean? I saw a Yeti in the bush. And you're like, oh, right. I think you've had enough.
Like, oh, well, anyway, I think my wife's calling me. Better go home. I've got to go.
Yeah. Did you see a Yeti? Oh, right.
Yeah.
And they draw it on a napkin. Look like that. That's what it looked like. I've had that happen. That's a real true experience.
Oh, really? Yeah?
I've had a person say he saw a Bigfoot and then continue. He drew he drew like a storyboard. He had like 5 napkins and he had a Keno pencil. You guys have Keno in New South?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. He had the little Keno pencil, and he drew like it step by step, like a comic strip of how it walked and its gait and shit. It was really quite a good sketch to do it at a packed pub at 11 at night. On a napkin with a grey lead pencil.
And I'm sure that would have been sitting in the back of his you left. I'm sure that would have been sitting in the back of his mind, sort of just lingering there and going, I'd love to talk about this, but no, that's okay. I'll just push it back. Oh, look, what are they talking about? Oh, the AFL. Yeah, we'll talk about that for a bit. And then as the beers just continue to sort of creep up on him, it gets more and more. It's like, hey, I saw Yeti. And everyone stops and just looks over. It's like, yeah. I'm going to draw it for you. Here's the gate and everything. Well, I'm sure, like, it's in the depths of like the great forest of Bendigo, somewhere.
Yeah. Where all the Yetis live.
That's it.
Yeah. He was. He drew a crowd. Like, he started like sketching out the drawings, and we're like, "What are you drawing there, mate?" And he's like, "Oh, this is a yowie or Yeti I saw in the bush."
Oh.
And we're like, okay, all right, everyone come around, and we were sort of like gathering a crowd. I didn't know you saw it yet. And like, I'm a bit of a dick because
You're feeling it. You're feeling it.
I'm devil's advocating it. I'm sitting on the fence and I'm like, yeah, I thought I saw one once, and yeah, like egging this guy on, and then but lo and behold, he's drawn 5 pictures of it, and he's really in detail. Like, he might have seen a Yeti.
we could be the idiots here that are giving him shit, but he could be the last one laughing.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, he had a good crowd that night and got his story across, and his illustrations as well.
I wonder if like, I'm just assuming he was probably roughly around the same age as yourself, but going years and years down the track, that becomes his go-to story. Like, that's just his, like, how like old blokes in the pub usually have like just a handful, like there might be 2 or 3 like really like their go-to stories, especially when they've got a new crowd, new person that they've met at the pub, and it's like, oh, I'll tell you a story, and and then the bar staff or some of the locals go, oh, fucking Phil's telling that story again, and they'll go off somewhere else. I reckon like that'd potentially be one for the ages, like for down the track, that'll be one of his go-tos.
I think so. There's a few people here that there's a big cat around here.
Oh, yeah.
Like a big, like a puma.
Yep.
That gets spotted once every 5 or 6 years, and people have seen it. And like, I knew a guy who was like that. That was his thing, and he went on 60 Minutes.
Oh no!
And yeah, he was talking about this big cat he saw, and it was great. He did it like, it's okay to some extent. You might have saw the big cat, and there might be a big cat out there, but don't go on 60 Minutes, even if it is true. You know what I mean? Just in case.
Oh,
just in case.
I'm just thinking of, I don't think it was 60 Minutes, but I think it was like Today Tonight, and that clip that always gets the rounds every few years, where the husband and the wife are talking about the dog that attacked. Yeah, and he goes and reenacts the bark. You go,
yeah, that's hilarious. That's comedy gold.
I love it.
That's great.
Well, mate, I was going to say I'm keeping on the time for your sake, but not really. I'm being selfish because I've got some beers waiting for me. But before we wrap it up, of course, Flow State Podcast, and people will be familiar with that already. And I've been on the podcast as well, and I've had Broden on. Now I've got yourself, so I'll put links in for that. I kind of was going to start talking about it at the start, and then we went off on a tangent. But BONK City Detective. The first one's out, and from what Broden says, you guys are brainstorming and starting to piece together what the next installment's going to look like. So I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, we're pretty keen, both Broden and I, to really make this web series sort of try and legitimize it a bit, and maybe in time we're aiming for 6 episodes, and then just have it as our little collection online. So we're just putting it together as it comes. Every 6 months we're going to try and knock out a new episode of the web series. Obviously, just about me and Broden, 2 heroic detectives who save the day every time. So you can sort of imagine what it's going to be like. And it's 80s themed. So that's available on YouTube and at the Flow State Podcast Facebook page. So come over.
I'll chuck a few links in there and people can check it out. But it is so good. I absolutely love it. And I know that you guys did a little bit of a refresher on it with some of the effects in it. But I tell you what, I love the OG. Like, the OG is just it's trauma on the eyes, but in the best possible way. Like, I love it. It was it's so good.
It's painful to watch, but that's we like it that way. So yeah, there's the OG, and then there's the fresh cut without the effects.
The remastered
version, the Blu-ray. Yeah, good fun to make stuff like that, man. That's my number one thing in life, is like, you can just make whatever you want, especially with a camera, and you can structure any story, you make anything, and it's really good fun.
Well, mate, I'll look forward to the next installment, and I think we'll have to have a few more chats about some of this stuff, because I wrote down a bunch of things we didn't even talk about. We just talked about shitting and adult diapers and drinking beers and stuff like that. I mean, hey, no complaints, but that's just the way things go when you do a podcast.
It is when you do it with me, I'm afraid. I just steer it down that road. Tangents are big for me. But yeah, we can do it again sometime, and maybe when you come on the Flow State podcast next, we can.
We'll just
have a further chat, mate. We'll continue the chat.
So, where should people link up with you specifically? Because obviously, being a comedian, you've got your own profile and doing stuff around the trap. And we didn't even talk about like your impression videos, the Jordan Peterson stuff. Like there's heaps of stuff. I'll put some links in so people can check it out. But where should people link up with you?
Over at YouTube, probably for the best. Or so just Cody Jones on YouTube there, and my Facebook page. Cody Jones Comedy as well. I post some stuff there from time to time. And that's about it, mate.
Hey, now go and support the boys over at the Flow State Podcast by getting onto Patreon. You guys know how Patreon works. The best way to support creators. And these guys, Broden and Cody, are creation machines. Let's call them that. Why not? Just spitting out a lot of audio and visual amazement over in their little domain. So go to patreon.com/flowstatepodcast. I'm pretty sure they've got a $1 tier, but regardless, like just go and throw them a few bucks and I'm sure they'd be absolutely stoked. And I think it's really important to get behind creators. Regardless of who it is, Patreon is just a massive, massive way of getting directly to the creator and supporting them and ensuring that they can continue to get stuff out there and do stuff that they love to do. And Patreon is just an amazing platform. So please go and consider that. If you enjoy these episodes with Broden and Cody, definitely go and check those guys out on the socials, on the podcast platforms, and of course on Patreon as well. Go and check and follow Cody on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm pretty sure it's some comedian Cody Jones or Cody Jones Comedian or something like that, but I'll put links, of course, in the show notes so you can check that out. Go and subscribe to Cody's YouTube channel, which is fucking funny, really funny stuff. A lot of the Flow State podcast episodes are on there, but also his impression videos. He does a lot of, his go-to person is Jordan Peterson, which I believe Jordan Peterson retweeted him at one point. So one of his videos, or a few of his videos in particular, they got a lot of views. He's doing really well. So go and check that stuff out. I'll put a couple of links in the show notes, of course, so you can click through and have a squiz. And, of course, BONK City Detectives. If you haven't seen it yet, go and check out episode 1. I'll embed a video in the show notes and put a link through so you can click through and check that stuff out. Really, really funny stuff. And they're working on episode 2 at the moment, so get behind them, support them. I reckon it'll be, knowing a lot of you people that listen to this podcast, I reckon BONK City Detectives will be right up your alley. I think you'll absolutely get a kick out of this. So definitely go and check that stuff out. But I love these guys. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, they're funny, funny guys. And I'm stoked that they put their hand up and wanted to go back to back and do a couple of episodes on the Andy Social podcast. So absolute legends. So definitely get behind them and support them. Now, speaking of support, Patreon, my Patreon, patreon.com/Andy Dowling. It is one of the best ways to support this podcast. And after... what are we up to? 303 fucking episodes and close to 6 years of podcasting. It is the Patreon community that has continued to keep me fueled and motivated and relatively sane, especially over the last 12 months or so. And I've really ramped it up. I've been going gun-ho and really enjoying a lot of the amazing episodes and guests I've had on over the past 12 months, let alone the past 6 years. Fucking incredible. But these people are just amazing. Whether they've signed up for the $1 tier, which to be honest is all I ever would hope for people, is just to sign up for the $1 tier. But going right up to the $10 and the $20 tiers, and there's one particular person who's fucking slinging me $25 a month, and that's US dollars. I mean, Jesus Christ, mate, amazing. Thank you. But regardless, whether you're a high flyer, absolute fucking hero, who just makes me feel awkward and humbled and amazed, or you're a $1 tier supporter, just giving me that validation, that fucking fuel to keep firing away. It means the world to me. So thank you so much. So go to patreon.com/Andy Dowling. Have a squeeze over there and check all the updates and everything on the Patreon page. And I thought I did this last episode, but I'm going to do it again because I just really, I'm feeling the love, and I just really want to give my thanks to everybody, regardless of when you've joined, what you've signed up for, what tier. It just means I don't even have the words. I always say it. I keep saying the same shit over and over again every week. But it's just a fucking big thank you. Anyway, you guys get the gist of what I'm trying to say. But a massive thank you to the crew, the posse, my inner circle, my legends, my mates. Thank you to Ryan from Adelaide, Andrew from Perth, Mick G from Sydney, Ash from Deniliquin, Dan from Dapto, Riley from Sydney, Toe Hider Guys from Melbourne, Lords of the Trident from Madison, Wisconsin, Sean from Oregon, the US, Johnny from South Australia, Zach from Adelaide, Rod from Rayleigh in North Carolina, Matt from Adelaide, Saul from Oxford, the UK, Patrick from Canberra, Liam from Brisbane, Tom from Melbourne, Chris from Sydney, Frank from Untergruppenbach in Germany, Lewis from Airlie Beach, Turner from Armidale, Samantha from Sydney, Brendo from Leeton, Tim from Canberra, James from Brisbane, Bradley from Canberra, Sean from Melbourne, Kurt from Brisbane, Jason from Adelaide, Christian from Canberra, Cole from Port Kembla, Jordan from Bendigo, Steve from the Gold Coast, Blooming Theatricals in Melbourne, Christopher from Pace in Florida, Ben from Cincinnati in Ohio, that's a mouthful, Veronica from Adelaide, Scott from Melbourne, Tristan from Melbourne, Gareth from Perth, Chris from Adelaide, Fierce Deedy from Hobart, Glenn from Canberra, Andrew from Sydney, Talitha from Brisbane, Daniel from Melbourne, and Carl from Melbourne as well. Amazing. Thank you, folks. Just from the what's the fucking cliched term? From the bottom of my heart. I mean it. I just thank you. So, guys, I think that's enough crapping on for me. Please get behind the podcast. Share it around. As I've been saying in the past several episodes, like, treat this like a band that you just discovered. If you haven't listened from day dot, go back into the back catalogue. Go and find the hidden gems. Not so much me, but amazing guests, people who just sacrificed, an hour plus of their time to sit down and have a chat to me and get really candid. Like, some amazing stories, some great ideas and insights, and I think some real reassurances. I think a lot of us often get worried and stressed about shit in life, and when you get to hear people sharing their perspective and their stories, you go, oh, thank fuck it's not just me. Oh, my God. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of great stories and great chats with some amazing people over the years. So go back and dig into that. Share that stuff around, please. If you find something that a mate could really get a kick out of and get something out of, please spread the love. I'd love to get more and more people dig into those old episodes. And as I have always said for many, many months and probably years, if you enjoy any of the old episodes, please reach out to these guests. Find them on the socials. I've got links, contact details in the show notes. Reach out to them and just say hello and just say that you listened to them on my podcast and what you got out of it, or just say hello and just say, hey, thanks, great chat, really enjoyed it. That's it. And I think these people it would mean the world to them, and certainly mean the world to me. So definitely get behind that. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Keep sharing around. And till next episode, take care and ta-ta.